from the University of Minnesota, Rochester, Our Town.
Last year, the community was asked to imagine a creative castle community in the historic Armory building downtown. This year, the vision is quickly becoming a reality. The castle community is now underway with some exciting developments. Nora Anderson is here with the castle community with the latest update. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, let's get to it. What are the latest developments with the project?
All right, so we are officially under construction. So we started construction on the building about a month ago. And every day that I visit the space, something new is happening. So it's been months and months of planning, demolition through the first half of the year, and now we're seeing the building being put back together into the vision that we created. And a number of incredibly talented professionals have helped us, put into plans, and now we're seeing those plans turn into the physical space.
That's exciting. So how many levels is it again?
There are 3 levels of the building. So
what's going to be on each level?
The first floor will primarily be a restaurant. So Cameo at the Castle is the name of our restaurant. Zach Oley is a Rochester born and raised chef. He recently, or formerly, was the executive chef at Pescara, but he's been working in restaurants all across the country, has an incredible resume and just a really good taste for food, and we're really excited to see what he's going to bring to the community. It's going to be a casual, but a little, kind of casual upscale, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Food that's going to be inspired from cuisines around the world, and everything is really focused on fresh ingredients and great flavors, and we're really excited to see that develop.
To try that out.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
That's awesome. And the other 2 floors?
Other 2. On the second floor, about half of the space will be taken up by a bookstore. So Fair Trade Books out of Red Wing is opening a second location in our space, which will feature a lot of used books, hard to find books, really an eclectic space. He'll also have some comics and vinyl records. So Rick DeVoe, the owner of Fair Trade in Red Wing, is really excited to be a part of the Rochester community and bring some really fun programming to the space as well.
So you can get some food, go get a book, and then what's at the top level?
Yes, so the other half of the second floor, which I didn't even get to, is
there's 2 parts.
So yes, the bookstore is about part of the space, and then we'll have a large open kind of public common space, similar to the space that we're in today, where people can sit, lounge, have a cup of coffee, read a book, have a meeting. You can bring your lunch, sit there, have a bite to eat, and that'll be surrounded by artist studio spaces. So we'll have 5 private artist studio spaces. We'll have a large kind of co-working studio space, a group studio space for artists to work out of, and then a retail art store where people can purchase artwork, purchase art materials, and other local handmade items and such.
And from what I understand, it is local, so there are artists in the community that are contributing to that.
Everything is a very local focus in the building.
Yeah, I love that.
Very much about the community.
Okay, so top level.
3rd floor, yes.
I'm excited about this.
We have an art gallery. So the arts group that will be functioning out of the space will put on regular exhibitions in this space. The gallery will always be free, open to the public to come in and view different works of art. And we'll also have a community meeting space. So we have offered up this space to the community, any group that is looking for a space to meet, say it's a book club or a PTA group, a nonprofit board that just doesn't have a physical space to meet. All they have to do is reserve that space from us. So that can accommodate about 30 people in that space. But the thing that we're so excited about on the 3rd floor is our event space. We can accommodate about 450 people standing for concerts, big public events. We can do weddings, banquets, seated dinners, all kinds of conferences. That we're just thrilled and excited about the people that have contacted us already about different ways that we're going to use that space.
Well, we should collaborate and throw a party.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Nora.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations:
the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota,
and the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
In the past, a library was a place someone could go to borrow a book. Nowadays, libraries offer much more than books. I'll talk to Audrey Betcher about what the Rochester Library has to offer. We take a ride on a bicycle playground, and we remember a camera company based right here in Rochester. But first, let's meet postcard enthusiast Rosei Skipper in this week's Our Culture segment.
My dream always is to pick like the perfect postcard for a person and then match it with the perfect stamps. When I make postcards with friends, I have them pick out a postcard of their choice, and I just carry around like a super random smorgasbord of assorted cards, and you kind of like, you pick the one that resonates with you in that moment. I'm Rosie and I love postcards. Postcards are just the perfect tiny package of mail. And it doesn't take a long time to send a postcard, and they're all super unique and you can get them anywhere. And if you happen to have a collection of like 10,000 of them, you can share them with other people too. People love to get mail. It's just a fun little treat and surprise. And then, after you pick your card, I have a random assortment of postage stamps. So you pick out 35 cents of postage. And things that people don't know. So as long as you have 35 cents of postage somewhere, it can be on the front, it can be anywhere on the back. You can fill up the whole space. You usually want to write the address here because they probably get a little annoyed if that's messed up. But in general, like, you can stick it all over the place. And you can have more than 35, but not less. So I always have people put on the postage first before they start writing, because usually then they'll write and they'll have to cover it up. And of course you need people's addresses. That's the biggest thing, right? Like, do you actually have someone's address? Sometimes you kind of have to text them and they're like, that's a creepy question. I don't collect stamps in a way of like, which are rare or valuable. I just really like to use them. So I don't ever want the stamp that's worth a ton of money. I want the one that's like really interesting looking and neat. And when you see a stamp that you've only seen like online in person, it's like a birder when they see like a big birding person. It's super exciting. So my biggest pen pal when I was growing up was my grandma and my older sister. And then my grandma passed away and my older sister had kids, so she just was super busy. I want to send more mail, but I don't know who. You know, there's only so much. If you send too much mail to your friends and family, they're like, are you okay? So I found this thing called Post Crossing, and it's really cool. You sign up to do it and you get the mailing addresses of people all over the world. And it's just a really interesting way to have little tiny connections. You can actually make a postcard out of anything. So this is an old bingo card. And then my friend Nick just made me that for my birthday. That's from a children's book. My sister will do this really elaborate thing, like this is a tiny fan. And she wrote on the back of it, and it probably came packaged with this. Sometimes you have the right postcard, but you haven't met the right person yet for it. Like, it's so special, it's so particular that you just kind of have to wait. And then when you meet that person, you're just like, yes, I have that. And usually, like, when I'm in another country, I'll try and go to like a used bookstore or just somewhere where they have a lot of old paper things and get cards there. And so each one is this tiny little memory of a place where I went, and that's just really neat. Kind of brings it back in a visual way. And then maybe I'll send it away and forget about it entirely.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/ourtown.
You spent the weekend getting even, ooh. We spent the late nights making things right between us.
Here's a look at what's coming up and what's going down around Rochester this weekend, as well as the coming week on Our Town Rundown. An album release party for local recording artists Fires of Denmark is going on right now at Canvas and Chardonnay downtown. Fires of Denmark hopes to create a shared experience that will leave a lasting impact. And if you like music, check out the Foster Aaron Park on Saturday the 11th. Local bands will unite for Foster Fest to entertain the community with live music and art to raise money for Mission 21, an anti-trafficking organization serving victims of domestic minor sex trafficking. Jefferson Starship rocks down by the riverside this Sunday, performing such rock classics as Runaway, Miracles, and Jane. The Down by the Riverside concert starts at 7 p.m. in Mayo Park. The Days of Yesteryear starts this weekend at the Olmsted County History Center. The event will include demonstrations with live stream tractors, threshing, blacksmithing, and other activities from back in the day. Another noonday organ recital takes place this Tuesday, the 14th. The event takes place at the Trinity Lutheran Church downtown. Only 3 concerts left until the end of the season. The event is free and open to the public. Movies in the Park at Central Park continues on Saturday the 18th with Coco, the animated fantasy film from Pixar. The movie starts at 9 p.m., but pre-film festivities begins at 7 p.m. Coming up next, we explore a bicycle playground in this week's Walkabout segment.
They have some in Europe, and they had some, they saw one that was in, I think, Seattle, Washington, which was quite impressive, and they wanted to imitate that. We call this a bicycle playground, and it's for usually grade school children who can learn the rules of the road and ride it. It's a place for them to ride their bikes and pay attention to stop signs and learn some rules about how staying in your lane or courtesy or what to look out for, and so children would be safer. So it's about safety too, as well as fun. The biggest challenge of this project was the beginning, the start. And on that morning, there were a lot of people here. There was the press, there was the mayor, there was the police, there was everybody there, and I had to start drawing it out on the ground. The garden's kind of nice, a piece of artwork. I think it's turned out pretty good. We did a roundabout, and in the center of the roundabout, we put a graphic that essentially kind of works as a logo for it. And that's a nice little piece. And it's always fun to work on something that's close to you. And when she said it was for bicycling, I think I got a little bit excited about the fact that I'm working. Yes, I've been a bicycler all my life, and when I was in college, this guy loaned me his English style racing bike and to go home one day from where I was at. And it was like transformed me into wanting a bike that much that I bought one that summer. I started riding everywhere, and I think it's kept me young. When I was a kid, I would have loved to have this just to run around on, just a lane. So you get kids used to having fun on a bike, and then it's just a matter of teaching them, you know, the rules and how to be safe so that they can continue.
Albert Einstein once said the only thing that you absolutely have to know is the location of the library, and just a couple of blocks from here sits our very own public library. Our next guest joins us as we explore the big, wide, welcoming world of the Rochester Public Library. Stay tuned.
Our past, remembering what made us who we are today. Brought to you by the History Center of Olmsted County.
The Conley Camera Company began in Spring Valley, Minnesota in the late 19th century, when Carrie and Frederick Connolly started making cameras in the rear of their family-owned jewelry store. Childhood friend Richard Sears, founder of Sears, Roebuck & Company, later commissioned the Conley brothers to manufacture cameras for his burgeoning Sears catalog. Thanks to the new partnership, the Conley Camera Company soon gained widespread exposure. As a marketing tool to capitalize on the Rochester name associated with his direct competitor, Eastman Kodak, located in Rochester, New York, Sears proposed the Conleys move 30 miles north to Rochester, Minnesota. Conley Camera Company operated out of the 14th Street Southwest building in Rochester, Minnesota, growing from 16 employees to 135. Sears eventually bought the entire Conley Camera Company, and the Conley brothers went on to pursue other interests. Today, the restored original camera factory building is a restaurant.
This past spring, the Rochester Public Library was honored with the prestigious National Medal of Museum and Library Services. The award celebrates the strides the local library has made to be inclusive and committed to the needs of our growing and changing community. Audrey Betcher, director of the Rochester Public Library, joins us today to tell us more about this achievement and the future of our library. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here. So, you got a big award. What are your thoughts on that? How did that feel?
It was amazing. It was a great experience. It was because of the medal, the national medal is really about how the library serves the community. That's such an honor for us to say that we're doing innovative and things that really matter to our community. So that was such an honor for us.
And what are some examples of that?
So what we highlighted are programs that really the community told us they needed. So we talked about the Rochester Reading Champions program. That's really about how we pair highly trained community volunteers with struggling readers, because we know that reading is important for success. You cannot get a job if you can't read.
And that's so needed in our community.
It's so needed.
Absolutely.
I mean, we need, with the numbers that are coming in terms of the labor gap, we need every person to succeed. So how do we help? So we partner with the Boys and Girls Club, we partner with the Reading Center, we partner with Adult Detention and other organizations in our community to help struggling readers. And that's been wildly successful. Looking at how we create safe spaces in our community, because when we say we welcome everyone in our community, we're very serious about that.
You truly mean it.
We truly mean it. Right on our door, all are welcome here, and we really mean it. And so how do we do that? Because we have to build that culture. And so so things like the services for our LGBTQIA population, how do we make sure that everybody really is welcome? So things like that are our Wellness Corner. Those are all some examples of things that we're doing to help serve the community.
And I know you have some programming in the library that encompasses that. So what sort of programming do you also include to do that?
So for example, we have Parents Empower Pride, we have Q Club, so we host Pride Prom. Those are some of the examples. We have a Transforming Families group that meets in the library. So really creating places for people to connect with each other and get the information they need.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the other things, how's the library responded to the changing needs of the community? Because that continuously evolves. We're going to get a new mayor and all of those things. So what are some ways that you do that?
So I go back to our strategic planning process, which is really kind of a formalized way to listen. I mean, certainly we listen every day to what people tell us when they're in the library, but in a more formal way, when we did our strategic planning, we pulled a focus group together, and they really challenged us. And I will tell you, we swerved at that after that strategic planning, because, so for example, we've talked about roles of public libraries across the country, and when we got to basic literacy, we said, Hawthorne Education Center does that in our community, and they're doing a great job. And they agreed with us, but they said if education, workforce, and being welcoming and inclusive, which is what they said, if our community did those things well, we would be a great community. They said the library can't do nothing around basic literacy. So they really challenged us. I mean, without the community group really pushing back on having these really robust conversations, we would not have created Rochester Reading Champions. So after that strategic planning process, we went out and spent a year talking to community partners, saying, where are the gaps, what's our role, we don't want to duplicate what's going on, but there are needs that aren't being met, and what can we do about that? So those kinds of conversations and really listening to the community are what has changed us.
Okay, so my follow-up question is obvious. What do you envision the role is in the community?
Well, and that's determined by the community.
Right,
I mean, you know, so as the community changes, we have to change too. We can't be the library we were 20 years ago.
True.
We can't. And so it's more about how we listen and how we know we're doing the right things. So part of our process has really also been about using data to tell us, are the programs that we're doing successful? So with Rochester Reading Champions, for example, we do a pre-test and a post-test and say, and what we're finding is that the students, which are both children and adults, who are part of the Rochester Reading Champions, improve their reading and spelling by 2.5 grades. That's our average.
That's great.
So we have data behind it. So that we have to keep challenging ourselves, because we don't have infinite resources. So what's working? If it's not working, do we get rid of it? Do we change it? How do we keep meeting those community needs and be an effective part of the community?
What is the greatest appeal from the community at the Rochester Library? What do people enjoy the most?
Well, I would say there's something very unique about public libraries. I contend we are the only place in a community where everyone, all income levels, interact productively. So it doesn't matter, there's no, it's government, it's your taxes at work. I mean, it's some of the best part of what you pay for. And so looking at that, people can come in, they can use the resources. Our mission is really to serve the entire community. So once a book once it's not selling, we don't just get rid of it. It's really about how do we collect all these resources that the community can use on an ongoing way, and that everybody, not only do we provide good information, but we provide opportunities for people to connect with each other. And that also goes back to the workforce, because we need to attract people to Rochester, but if they don't connect, they're not going to stay. So how do we create those opportunities? And a perfect example is right now we have a We the People program going on about connecting around civic engagement, because people want to be informed on the local elections and on what's happening within our community. And so we create opportunities. And not only do we host some of the debates, but we also record them. So if you can't come to the debate, you can watch it from our website and get informed and participate in the civil debate, because it's not just about providing information, it's about creating opportunities for people to really connect and discuss, because there are issues that are facing our community, and we have to have those safe places for people to discuss.
That is wonderful. I have to circle back. What do you do with the books? You said you don't get rid of them, so what do you do with them?
Well, no, but I mean, meaning we have a different business model.
Okay,
we certainly do get rid of books.
You do get rid of books.
We do get rid of books.
What happens to them?
Well, they go to the Friends of the Library, who sell them and generate more money for our collection. And we have an amazing Friends of the Library group who have a bookstore, and so they help raise money for the library. So what happens with, because I contend that if bad information is worse than no information, so as nonfiction books have bad information, or as things get updated, we do get rid of things. But yeah.
Awesome. It's good to know this information.
Yeah.
My other question is, what programmings are coming up that the library is offering in the next month or so? Yeah, so a couple of things actually related to the National Medal. So we are going to have a big block party in front of the library on September 9th. So we'll have music and games and food, and everyone in the community is invited to come down and participate and celebrate with us about the National Medal. And then in October, StoryCorps is actually coming to Rochester as part of the National Medal experience, and we'll be taking some oral histories, and they'll be working with us to record some of our local history. So we're very excited about both those opportunities. I also want to highlight the We the People. There are more debates coming, and more opportunities for people to engage. The We the People actually has a passport program where you can come down and get a passport, and it encourages things around civility, getting involved in your neighborhood, getting involved in the elections in terms of knowing where you need to vote. Those kinds of things are all coming up. Now, how do you collaborate with the community in those debates? You have other people come in and do the debates, correct? That host it, or we do partner. We do partner with like the League of Women Voters, who does work with us on that. We are all about partnership, so almost every program you see at the library, we're partnering with another community group to put that on. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, and my final question. Some people might wonder why the libraries are still relevant in technology and internet. Why do communities need a physical library presence? Yeah, I love that. I love that question, because again, part of it goes back to that model that we collect things and we have information for the community no matter what income level you are at. So for example, we have resources, we pay for databases, consumer reports, we pay for lynda.com, ancestry.com, things that everyone in the community can use, and that means everybody. Public libraries across the country, and ours is no exception, if you do not have internet access, the public library is where you go to get it. And there's a huge digital divide, and we are part of the solution for that. And so, for example, if you need to apply for a job, you almost have to do it online. And if you don't have internet access at home, I guarantee you they're in the library. You're in the library applying for jobs. So that's part of it. Well, I'm already convinced that I need to use the library more, and I think it's wonderful. It's such an asset to the community. Thank you so much. Thank you. The Rochester Library is such an asset to the community, and I'm so thankful Audrey Betcher shared details about what it has to offer. This is Danielle Teal from the University of Minnesota Rochester. We'll see you next week on Our Town, the show about Rochester.
Our Town is produced by KSMQ Public Television, nonprofit, non-commercial. Please help pay for this programming by making a personal contribution at ksmq.org. Thank you.
Educational, wholesome, enriching and quality. KSMQ TV shows about people, places, things you know. Programs with a family fit, tuned to the source. KSMQ TV, the better choice.
You can access more information about KSMQ on Facebook and at ksmq.org.